I know that your world has been destroyed many times. Many times over your lifetime, your world collapsed. You were bewildered. You were overwhelmed. It seemed like a tragedy. I know it's happened for many of you on your jobs. You gave your loyalty, your sweat and blood and tears for years working loyally, and then a new supervisor came in and everything you did would be wrong, even though you've had good reviews. And somebody just didn't like you or seemed to want to get rid of you, maybe because they want to bring a friend into the position or because they want to get somebody where they can pay them less salary. But whatever it is, on the job, many of you, probably most of you, have had your world destroyed, collapsed. And you were bewildered. What's happening? Why is this happening? You're coming home, still thinking about what your boss said, your supervisor said, what a coworker said. You feel humiliated, misunderstood, unappreciated, degraded. In fact, you have nightmares about it. That's how much your world gets destroyed. You had the idea of yourself as a good worker, as a loyal worker, as a hard worker, which most of you are. I've met so many wonderful people in this position. And then you're harassed to the point where you just say, I can't take it anymore. Your world collapsed. Or you've worked for 20, 30 years. You've always worked. Some of you have worked since you were 12, 14, 15 years old working, and now you just can't take it anymore on the job. Your self-concept is collapsing. It's not like you to not be able to handle it. Now you're not handling it. The collapse of your pride as a worker, as a human being, as a competent individual, collapsed. Everybody goes through this. I want to talk about the different areas that this happens. I know people who, I think of a couple of women right now, some of my wonderful patients, they didn't know anything was going on with their husband or their partner. Or maybe they felt something was a little off and they were having intimate relations with each other. Then they find out that the person was sleeping with another woman. And so the whole marriage, maybe you've had children together, maybe you bought a home together, a collapse of a world. The universe collapsed. Betrayal. What you thought wasn't an illusion. There seemed to be love. There seemed to be honesty. Who can you trust? After this, who will you trust again? These are the issues. The world collapses, destroyed. Happens to so many wonderful people. One, particularly in the job, where you have to take off because of stress, or maybe you let go, laid off, fired. And your self-worth is destroyed, a collapse. I know so many of my wonderful, beautiful women, patients that I have, when a man leaves, their self-esteem goes down, a collapse of their whole view of themselves. Beautiful women, doubting how they look. What they think, so what's wrong with me? So there's a collapse, an annihilation of the self-concept because it was dependent on that relationship. It was dependent on that job. It's my pleasure to present to you the destruction and resurrection of your life. The destruction and resurrection of your life. I'm Dr. Arnold Nerenberg. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist in the state of California since 1974. I've had the privilege of being in my profession for over 50 years, and I met the most wonderful, beautiful, decent, genuine human beings in the world. And what a pleasure it's been, what an enjoyment, what a privilege. What I like to tell my patients is that, hey, I'm 84 years old and I finally have a good idea what I'm doing. So when I'm bringing to you tonight, it's based on over 84 years of walking upon the earth and over 50 years of working as a clinical psychologist. The destruction and resurrection of your life. I've gone into a few areas where this happens in terms of your job, your relationship. Those are two of the biggest areas of life. And I know it's the one or more of those have already collapsed for you. And I know it will continue collapsing and being destroyed at a psychological level, at a material level. Everything in the material world is subject to destruction. The spiritual is eternal. But the material, how your body looks, your face, employment at a particular job, it's in the material world. It's here, it's gone. So to the extent you have your self-esteem and self-respect tied to these material considerations, you're vulnerable. Very vulnerable. We're all vulnerable to that. We can't help it to some extent. We live in a very materialistic society. Here's a thought you want to repeat to yourself at least 3 times a day. My self-respect and self-esteem depend only on my honor. My self-respect and self-esteem depend only on my honor. That gives us a good psychological direction, a good spiritual direction to go. Shines a little bit of light into that darkness. So when you're feeling the universe is destroyed, and typically with that self-esteem goes with it, but my self-esteem and self-respect depend only on my honor. Now, I'm going to tell you some stories. I've told different ones at different times in different presentations of showing the loss and the resurrection of a life. The loss and the resurrection. The death of a life and the rebirth. You've been going through it, but I want to put it in this framework that's going to help you when you're going through situations in your life. One of the derivatives of the 4 commands of honor is, what's the best true story I can tell myself about this problem? What's the best true story I can tell myself about this problem? And that will help with the resurrection of your life. Absolutely will. Because in all your loss, whether it's relationship, your physical well-being, your job, whatever it is, whatever that loss is, contained within it is a gain. It's a gain. We have to ask, what is the best true story I can tell myself about this problem? We acknowledge the loss. We acknowledge the hardship. We acknowledge the collapse. We all know this. If you're married, we have a good relationship with your partner. The time will come when one of you will not be alive. Same for me with my wife. There'll come a time when either my wife won't be here on this earth or I won't be. One of us will go first. And the same for you, whatever significant relationship you have. Could be your mother, your father, your spouse, your boyfriend, your girlfriend. That time will come and there will be a collapse, especially with a good relationship. A collapse of your world, a collapse of my world. It's built into the material existence. The only way above it is a spiritual one. I'm going to tell you this about that collapse, and we will all face that. Nobody escapes that. Either your spouse will be going through it or a significant other, or you're going to go through it. No question about it. It's not like maybe or theoretically. No, that's a fact. And there will be a collapse, a destruction of your life. But here's the resurrection. When a loved one passes, which is a loss in the material sense, but I'll tell you a secret, that if you've already gone through this experience, you'll know what I'm saying is true. you will feel the reality of the loved one more than ever. The words that that person said to you will come alive. The expressions. You might even feel the way you walk is similar to that person. That person becomes more alive to you than when they walked on this earth. So there is a collapse, the loss, but they're resurrected within you. More alive. When my father passed away, the biggest loss of my life to date, and I wrote a book about it, the passing of my father, the loss and the gain. Myself, as with yourself, if you've been through these kinds of losses. His words became more alive. I'm always quoting him. His words, especially for a while, were very vivid. His walk, and I'm using the thing about walking because I would walk and feel like I have the gait of my father. And that's how it is for you. The words will come to you more powerfully. The songs that your loved one cherished will touch you more deeply. You will see the beauty of your loved one's life more than when that person walked upon this earth. More. That's the gain. More than when they were here physically. That's the resurrection. They're resurrected within you, more alive within you. Not outside there walking on the earth as a material form, but within you, more alive than ever before. That's the resurrection. That's the death and the rebirth. And that's a big one. That's a huge one for you, for me, for whomever. Big. But there is the resurrection. Now, I'm going to tell you a couple of stories. Hugh, who does our videography, heard these stories. He gets tired of hearing them, but it's really new for my people, and it's really good to tell you these stories. There was a man who was a roughneck. Big guy, macho, worked in the oil fields. Tough guy. Came in, looked so angry and sad in his face. Looked like he wanted to cry, but of course he didn't. Too macho. Then he said to me, "Doc, I've lost everything. My wife left me." I said, "Wow, that's rough." "Yeah." She left me. She left me for another man. I said, "Wow, that's even worse." And then when she left me, Doc, she took my kids. I don't know. I haven't seen my kids in months. I don't even know where they are. I said, "Wow, I have 7 children. That's a nightmare. A man to man, I feel compassion for you." He said, "Yeah." And I was so stressed that I couldn't even go to work. I wasn't making any money. Couldn't make my mortgage payments. I lost my house. Couldn't make the payments on my house. Lost my wife, my kids, my house. Now, as losses go on this earth, that rates towards the top. It would for me, it would for you, it would for any normal human being. Those losses rate towards the top. I said, "Man to man, I feel compassion for you." Well, what if I told you that with the destruction of your world, the destruction of your life, it could be resurrected, a rebirth? But when we ask ourselves, what is the best true story we can tell ourselves about this? I said, there was a gain in that loss. What if I told you that's the best true story we can tell ourselves will give dignity, nobility, and honor to your life? What would you say if I told you we can do that right now? He looked at me like, "It's impossible." "What is it, Doc?" I said, "You ready for the healing medicine?" He said, "Yes, I am." Here it is. I've lost everything, but I've gained myself. I've lost everything, but I've gained myself. He looked at me. His face was so hardened, softened up. His face started to glow. "Yeah, I have gained myself. I have." I saw him rebirthed. I saw the resurrection of that man right in front of me. I gained myself. He just floated out of the office by the end of the session. In fact, he went up to my secretary. He said, I've lost everything, but I've gained myself. Walked out. He was happy. Still didn't have his wife, still didn't have his children, still didn't have his house. So there you saw the death, the crush of his life, the destruction of his life, and the resurrection and the rebirth, the gain and the loss. I'm telling myself the best true story about that problem. True story. Another patient come in, lovely young lady, just lovely. She was crying. She said, my son's in the hospital, he's in stable condition. A guy in Nerenberg shot him 9 times. I said, oh my God. I said, I have 7 children. That's a parent's nightmare. So I feel deep compassion for you. I said, what if and I know your world has collapsed. He said, yes, it has. So what if I told you that we can be a resurrection? You can come back to life within the ashes of your life, within the destruction of your life. You could be resurrected. You could have a rebirth. When we ask ourselves, what's the best true story I can tell myself about this problem? What if I told you that we could ask that question such that you will find dignity, nobility, and honor for yourself and for your son with what I'm about to tell you? She looked at me, hoping I could really do this. I said, really? What is that? I said, you ready for the healing medicine? I said, yes, I am. Here it is. They couldn't kill my son. They shot him 9 times. God has a purpose for his life. They couldn't kill my son. They shot him 9 times. God has a purpose for his life. And when I said that, it was the same thing. Face went, the tears stopped. The light started coming over her face. Yeah, God does have a purpose for his life. And she went floating out, just happy. I said to her before she said, be sure to tell your son what I said. I saw her the next week. She came in, this lovely young woman. She was still glowing. I said, did you tell your son what I said? She said, yeah. It made him happy. He smiled. In fact, he even laughed. So there you have it. The son was still in the hospital. He still was shot 9 times. Doesn't change that. But there was a resurrection, a rebirth within herself. Through the process of the honor teachings. What's the best true story I can tell myself about this problem? Another one more pertinent for many people because it involves a job. So Jimmy worked at this huge company in security department. Many people under him. He was the supervisor. And he'd been there 30 years. He was 6 months away from retiring. He had a great pension plan lined up, wonderful health insurance. But one day, some of the other people that in the organization that he supervised in the safety area, they were watching pictures from an ex-boyfriend about one of the women that worked there, famous woman, naked. She was naked. The ex-boyfriend sent these photos. And they were all looking at it, drooling over it. He saw it. He just walked away. He didn't stop it, walked away. Well, later, management found out about it, called him in and said, you saw that and you failed to stop it? We can't have you anymore. You're fired. So when Jimmy came to see me, he says, Doc, I worked there 30 years. I was so close to retirement, 6 months. I lost my retirement plan. I lost my health insurance. I lost my income. But even more than that, I loved the people and they loved me. I was so respected on that job. Every Christmas, my car would be loaded with gifts that people would all give to me. I lost my community. I said, Jimmy, that is indeed a very big loss. No way around that. Your health insurance, your retirement, your income, a job that you loved, where you loved the people and were loved. Huge. It's like your work family. It's like losing your family. Huge. No way to reduce that or minimize that. Any normal human being would be devastated by it. But I'll tell you something, you're going to find this hard to believe. Within that destruction of your life, you will see a resurrection, a rebirth within yourself. I promise you that within 1 month, you will come to me and you will say, Dr. Nerenberg, losing my job was the best thing that could have happened to me. He looked at me. He actually laughed. He said, losing my job, my income, my self-respect as a man, my retirement, my health insurance, you're going to tell me, I'm going to say to you, that was the best thing that could have happened to me. I said, yes, Jimmy, within 4 weeks. I said, all right. I could see he wanted it to be true, but he knew it couldn't be true. That was the look he had. He wanted it to be true, but he knew it could not be true. Well, about 3 weeks later, he came in for a session. He said, Dr. Nerenberg, I can't believe I'm going to tell you what I'm going to say. I said, what's that, Jimmy? He said, getting fired was the best thing that could happen to me. I said, yeah. I said, yeah, it went like this. My wife came home. Always had a good marriage. She said, sweetheart, we've been married for 35 years. I've always loved you. Plus, we hardly saw each other. You'd be working, I'd be working. But don't think I don't notice that you vacuum the house before I come home. You have my dinner ready for me. And that means the world to me, Jimmy. I've always loved you, but I love you more than ever. He said, Doc, those are the most beautiful words I've heard in my entire life, and it made losing my job worth it. So there you have it. The destruction of his life, the resurrection, the rebirth. I'm telling you these things because I want you to, while you're in the midst of your life being destroyed, your life turning into chaos, your life disintegrating before your eyes, I want you to know there is a best true story you can tell yourself about that. One of the 4 commands of honor is this. I am grateful for the power I gained from hardship. I am grateful for the power I gained from hardship. So the 4 commands of honor, you're going to be saying 3 times a day, and that's one of them. I call it the warrior's command of honor. You do 3 times a day because the repetition is preparation for application. You have to do it all your life. You can watch my other videos, see what the full honor system is, the whole honor therapy approach. It's also an honor movement. So there's now another derivative of that warrior's command of honor is this. I hope to come back much stronger than ever. I hope to come back much stronger than ever. So right while you're in your disintegration of your life, while it was disintegrating, not just afterwards looking back, disintegrating. I hope to come back much stronger than ever. And let me see, what's the best true story I can tell myself about this problem? Right in the middle of it. Now, for those of you that believe in God, as I do, God, I'm extremely grateful for the gift of trials and tribulations that bring me closer to you. It's another derivative of the warrior's command of honor. God, I'm extremely grateful for the gift of trials and tribulations that bring me closer to you. See, right in the middle of the tribulation, right in the middle of the disintegration of your life, in the middle of the destruction of your life, the collapse of what you thought your life was. This is a gift because I'm going to turn to God more. And I will look for the best true story I can tell myself about this. And I'm grateful for the power I gained from hardship because without hardship, you cannot achieve wisdom. It's going to be one of the gifts right there, wisdom. Without the hardship and suffering and loss, you cannot have compassion for others who've gone through it. Impossible. So right there are 2 gains. The potential gain in wisdom, the potential gain in compassion. Those are amazing blessings. We have, in this approach that I'm giving you, the honor approach, an expanded perspective. An expanded perspective where there's gain in the loss. Where there is indeed the best true story you can tell yourself about it. And there is the hope that you're going to come back stronger than ever. And the faith that the hardship will make you strong, and you're grateful for that power. It just changes your perspective in such a way as to cause a resurrection of who you are, a rising from the ashes of destruction, a rebirth of you. The destruction and resurrection of your life. I'm so glad I could tell you about this. But you have to repeat what I've told you at least 3 times a day. I'm grateful for the power gained from hardship. God, I'm extremely grateful for the gift of trials and tribulation to bring me closer to you. What's the best true story I can tell myself about this problem? And I hope to come back much stronger than ever. Now, for those who believe in God as I do, what I call the mother of all the commands of honor, God, your wish is my only wish. So you're facing the destruction. God, your wish is my only wish. God, if you want me to lose all of this job, this money, this relationship, then I want to lose it. God, if you want me to have it, then God, I want to have it. But if you have no preference, Lord, I prefer to keep it. But meantime, you're happy to lose it if that's the wish of God. You're happy to keep it if that's his wish. And you're being honest here. Look, if you have no preference, I prefer to keep it. So there's another command of honor which will help in the resurrection of your life, the rebirth of a new you emerging. It's really a new you that's being seen but was always latent within you and rising up. What a majestic thing this is. What a mighty power this is. And it's doable. It really is doable. Those of you who've been with me for a while, you are doing it. And in the future, you will do it. So keep in mind, it's not just to look back and say these things, but right when you're in the fire, right when everything's falling apart, that's when you recite this. Right then, you look into that chaos, into that destruction, into that darkness, and you reach in and you grab the pearl and you hold it and you celebrate the gain that's coming from it, for the rebirth that's coming to you, for the wisdom and the aspiration, and the closer you're going to get to God and to your highest constructive values. It's a blessing. A blessing. Some people say, wow, he lost everything. God's punishing him. No, God might be rewarding him. And conversely, somebody gets billions of dollars, and they say, wow, the Lord must love him. They're about such fruit. He's so rich. But most people, if they don't have honor, they will misuse that money. They may just be cheating on their spouse, taking drugs, living just a hedonistic life, destroying themselves. We see it all the time. Yes, we do. Money to that person is not a blessing. Not a blessing. It's a curse. So the true measure of the collapse and the gain, the loss of the gain, when you look at it from a psychological gain, a spiritual gain, you'll find it. And sometimes it can even lead to a material gain. I've seen this plenty of times in my own life. I've seen it in the life of so many people. I'm 84 years old. Fine, have a pretty good idea what I'm doing. So I can tell you all these things with absolute confidence. When people come to me and they're suffering, I go, this is good. I can really help this person. If a person's not suffering, they're not drowning, I can't do anything. So like a Leonard Cohen song, only drowning men could see him. So it's my pleasure, my privilege to meet people who feel so lost and drowning, so beautiful, and arise with great nobility to the struggle before them, to arise into greater heights of nobility and honor. And there's nothing more beautiful in the world than that. Nothing. Well, it's my pleasure to present to you the destruction and resurrection of your life. I'm going to open it up to any comment or question that all you lovely, beautiful people have, keeping in mind that when you speak up, it helps the other people as much or even more than what I do, because they see they're not alone and they see they're part of a beautiful community. So please feel free to ask anything or make any comment that you wish.
Dr. Nerenberg, Diego here.
Oh, Diego. Where are you, Diego? You're far away?
Yeah.
You're in Thailand?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, wonderful. Wow, look at that. Okay, tell me what's happening, Diego.
Good to see you there, Doctor. I see those guns poking out of the shirt. So looking good there, Doctor.
That's always great. I love hearing that. I wish I could just get a recording of that and play it over and over again. So, wow. Thank you for that, Diego.
Please do. You've got my full permission to get the snippet of me saying that.
I'm not going to do it, but it's a thought. Thank you.
Doctor, I really like the story that you mentioned about the oil roughneck. I know you've said it. I've heard it many times throughout the program here, and each and every time it gets better. But I just wanted to share with you that what you said to that person, that the simple words of you lost everything, but you've gained yourself. I've also used that with one of my friends recently who was going through a transition in life. They had moved to a new city. They basically left everything behind, friends, job, everything. So they were feeling kind of lonely moving into a new city. And they were just venting to me about how they were feeling, the frustrations of being lonely now and just the uncomfort of moving to a new city. And I actually use that very story that you mentioned with the roughneck. I use those exact same words, that they lost everything, but they gained their self. And you should have seen the way their face lit up when I said those things.
Tell me more about how his face looked. Tell me more about that. Tell us more. How does his face look?
Well, it lit up. Got a bit emotional, and they thank me for telling them those words, because it was the exact things that they needed to hear at that point in time.
So, Hugh here is what he's doing the video. So Hugh always said, you keep telling these stories, but this is the reason I keep telling it, because it really then sticks. Is that right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Does it get old?
I hear those stories, they get better.
I tell it a little better each time, but does it get old?
No, it doesn't get old.
No, it's fresh. But each time I tell it, it feels fresh. Thank you for that. Yeah, I want to Hugh. Suffering for a lot of people. Yeah. So Hugh and I joke about that. Yeah. Well, Diego, that's beautiful. I'm really glad you're going to help a lot of people in so many ways. You're going so much transcendence. It's unbelievable. So I just see more and more of that in your life.
Thank you, Doctor. Like I've told you before, I feel like I've always had that healing power within me. Is just that it's more intentional now that with the program.
Well, you're a tremendous gift to the honor movement and to society. And I just see you making mighty contributions now and over your lifetime. And now you're getting this more international perspective, being far away from America, getting more of an Eastern perspective. That's just going to help you have a even wider perspective. Very, very good, very healthy.
Thank you, Doctor.
Very therapeutic. Very much so.
Thank you.
Who else has something we'd like to ask or say?
Your resurrection will happen in God's time.
Yeah, Hugh's saying your resurrection will happen in God's time. Yeah, not in our time. It happens in God's time. Now, the ones I'm talking about happen pretty quickly, but it's always in God's time. It can take a while for for it to happen. Very true. It's not necessarily in our time. And for those who don't believe in God, you could say in its own time. For those who believe in God, as we do, in God's time. Very good. Thank you, Hugh. Excellent.
Hey, what's going on, Doc? This is Marquez.
Marquez, let's hear from you.
Yeah, just a comment is, I think a lot of us have, as you mentioned, we've had destruction of our world, and sometimes we know there's a light at the end of the tunnel, but while you're in it is the tough part. Definitely the program, the mantras you give us, honor helps, but it's always when you're in the thick of it that makes this the toughest part.
Well, you've nailed the key factor. What I want to give to you, and what I always aspire to give to myself, is to when you're in it to recite these things. Because that's how you shine, that's how you speak a little bit of light into that darkness. And it is a darkness. When your world collapses, it is a darkness. It's fearful. You can even be terrorized by it. You speak a little light into it. Doesn't totally make it go away. Speak a little light into it. I hope to be back much stronger than ever. I know the best true story I can tell myself about this. God, I'm extremely grateful for the gift of trials and tribulations bring me closer to you. I know I'm going to get closer to God. I know I'm going to get closer to my highest values. You're telling yourself that when you're in it. And I'm glad you said this, because that's the goal of what I want for you. That's why I'm telling everybody. You have to say these commands and laws 3 times a day. Why? Because the repetition is preparation for application to achieve stabilization. If you don't do it 3 times a day, you'll be annihilated from left field. Something will come at you didn't expect it, and you won't be prepared to go what I'm telling you. You won't be able to go to these beautiful ideas. You won't be able to do it. But you're always ready for battle. Battle against what? Against your own ego, against your own distortions. And by doing it 3 times a day, that keeps you in a state of readiness. You know, people going to war, their rifles, they don't just shoot one time on a rifle range and they turn them loose. No, they're fighting, shooting and shoot. So it's second nature. Second nature. So when the enemy's there, they know how to duck and shoot and aim and fire, point and fire. So that's what this is about. It's for the warfare against ourselves to deal with a world that can be very chaotic and very unfair. So I'm so glad you brought that up. But you've got to be reciting this 3 times a day for life. Exactly. And then you will remember it. You will remember it. But you got to do it 3 times a day. And it only takes maybe 12 seconds to do it. 12 seconds. You could be driving your car. You could be in the shower. You could be wherever. It's worth the 12 seconds. I tell people in the program, I say, are you prepared to do the commands of honor and what I call the bridge, which is what's the most honorable thing to think, say, and do? Are you prepared to do this 3 times a day for all of your life? And people say, yes. I say, don't stop when you're not in therapy with me anymore. You must keep this up. You will continue to benefit. This is what I want for you. So, Marquise, that's wonderful that you said that. Wonderful. That's such an important point.
Dr. Arnold?
Yes.
Isabel.
Isabel. Okay, Isabel.
I just had a thought, speaking on what he was saying originally on, when you're in it, it's also very hard to, you could say these things, say your repetitions, and sometimes you're not really feeling it, but with the repetition, how you say we have to do it over and over and over again, eventually you will start to feel that. And it makes such a world of difference. Like it helps with your perception in times of troubles and frustrations.
Isabel,
and, it's all about how you perceive things. And I love how it's always so positive, and it's definitely helped.
Well, Isabel, you're an amazing human being. I mean that with all sincerity. I say the commands of honor at least 3 times a day. And I don't feel a doggone thing when I'm doing it. It's just a mechanical recitation of it. I focus on it as I'm saying it, but it's not like I get a feeling. And it doesn't matter. If you feel it, that's great. I have some people tell me they really feel it deeply, and that's great. I don't. But it always comes into my mind, whatever I'm going through, it comes in my mind. It helps me get a balanced perspective, helps me take responsibility for what's going on, to wish people well. To know I'm getting stronger from it. And I'm talking on a daily basis that comes to me. In fact, I had an incident happen today with somebody. And I felt kind of put down by this guy, and I went into the commands and the laws of honor. I dealt with it very honorably. Didn't like it. Didn't like the way he spoke to me. Something happened out in the field. But again, I'm reciting the commands of honor. I just recite it, listen to myself say it, and typically don't feel anything. But when you apply it, wow, you feel it then. You feel your life changes from something really dark. I'm able to speak a little bit of light into my own darkness. I went into this with this guy. I kept saying, I wish you well. My thoughts, afterwards, I really started getting angry, kind of. Wish I said this, wish I had said that. I started going, I wish you well, brother. And I I did co-create this. I take responsibility for that. I hadn't done what I did, you wouldn't have been speaking to me that way. I don't like what you said to me, but I did co-create that. And that was just being honest and honorable about it within myself. So I applied it today. And again, when I recite the commands of honor, I've been doing it for so many years, for so long, I typically don't feel a doggone thing. But some people do, and that's even better. Thank you for that, Isabel. I'm really glad you brought that up because that's a key point. You always come to the heart of the matter, Isabel. You're brilliant that way and very articulate. And the text that you send about things you're thinking about and quotes and whatnot are always amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Isabel.
That's a lot.
Dr. Nerenberg?
Yes, Gisela.
I have a really quick question.
Yes.
So you're going over the Warrior Command of Honors. Where can I find that?
Where can you find what?
Yeah, the Warrior Command of Honors that you were going over, because I want to make sure I wasn't able to write it down fast.
What was I saying? God, I'm extremely grateful for the gift, the trials and tribulations bring me closer to you.
I have, God, I'm extremely grateful for the trials and tribulations, but you said other stuff.
Well, I'm going to send you the video. You can copy it down. You know, in my book, a lot of it, most of it's in my book, The Teachings of Honor. It's scattered in the book.
Hello?
But can you hear me?
It's scattered in the book. Okay.
Yeah,
yes.
but also I'll send you the video, and then you could take it off of that. Yeah, it's got the laws of honor. It's got the commands of honor. It's got the demands of honor. It's got the supremacy of honor code. But the basic of the whole system, the 4 commands of honor and the bridge. But then there's a more expanded version. Also, you're a very advanced student, so it'll be good for you to have. I recite a bigger liturgy of takes me about a little over a minute to do the full one that I do to keep myself in line. I can get ready out of line. I can get ready out of line. And so I need to be doing it. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you for asking. I'm glad that you care about that, Gisela, because you're definitely one of the ambassadors of honor, one of the sustainers, that's for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Hugh's got something he wants to say. When we first open, anybody else have something you'd like to ask or say?
When God closes a door, a better door opens.
Yeah, Hugh's saying when one door closes, whether it's God closing or whatever, however you want to think of it, another one opens. That's an old thing that's very true. People say make lemonade out of lemons, one door closing, another door opening. We have a lot of sayings. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. We have a lot of sayings that get at that. I've simply put it in what I thought was the most internalizable way, psychologically optimal way of bringing it out within ourselves. And so it took me over 40 years to be able to start framing it the right way. And now it's really taking hold. And I see it transforming lives, transforming my life, lives of other people. Absolutely. Thank you.
Dr. Nerenberg, is Joanne. My grandmother always used to tell me, when God closes a door, he opens a window.
Oh, that's another way I said it. Close the door, opens a window. There you go. It's always, we have a lot of sayings that capture it. They've been around so long, we've heard them. And this is putting it into a very psychologically amenable way of saying the things. Each of the commands of honor, each of the laws of honor, the supremacy of honor code, the demands of honor, all of that's put in a way that shines a light of what's already within us so it can arise into consciousness in terms of thoughts, words, and actions. Grandma was wise. The one door closing is always open a window. That's an expansion of one door closing, another opens. Very true.
If you're on the wrong path, God will try and get you off the wrong path.
Yeah, he was saying if you're on the wrong path, God will try to bring you off the wrong path. Yeah, life will take us to reality, to truth. No delusion, no distortion no darkness can remain. Eventually, reality will manifest. And we're talking about the most profound, eternal reality will manifest. Absolutely. We've all gone down some wrong paths in our lifetime. Certainly I have, and everybody I know has. And it convinced me I was convinced that wasn't the way to go. And that made me more open to a more elevated, transcendent, spiritual way of going. Absolutely.
Well, we both have had situations where what we were ourselves.
Yeah, he was saying that we've gone through things where we were doing things, but we needed something happening to help stop ourselves. Very true. Very true. Sometimes we need help stopping, no question about it. And I've talked about that in many of my presentations about things I've done wrong and the help I got. That was, call it divine interventions, call it whatever, and it really helped me stop. And so, and many of you have been in that situations where you need some help to stop the destructive behaviors that we had going on. For many people, that's alcohol, drugs, and whatever. But there are many other things that we've done wrong. Yeah. Who else has something you'd like to ask or say?
Dr.
Hey,
Nero.
Joanne, I love the quote. Oh, sorry, Claudia, go ahead.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Diego. My question to you, Dr. Nerenberg.
Who is this?
This is Claudia.
Oh, Claudia. Okay. Yes,
Hello.
Claudia.
You brought up the nightmare part, right? And so I've had several nightmares subconsciously, but this time around and truly believing that God's wish is my only wish and not being an enemy to myself in the way that I speak, right? And then I've been journaling these dreams as well. So how do you, I don't know if this is the right question, but how do you interpret those dreams that you have, especially with my situation? They're repetitive.
You want to just say something about the dream, or you just want to just say they were upsetting dreams?
Right, very upsetting dreams.
Okay.
I woke up like crying a couple of nights ago, and so subconsciously I know that's still there, although I'm not trying to, I try to listen to your videos at night to put me to sleep, or, some spiritual stuff before I go to bed. But a couple nights, I've woken up crying about the situation.
Well, I'll tell you something, Claudia. This is a very good question because we all have that. Most of our dreams are not that pleasant. Sometimes the dreams reflect our fears. I'll answer you this way. A lot of my nightmares would be somebody's chasing me, or something's happening and I'm frightened and I don't intervene. But in the Supremacy of Honor Code, one of the statements is honor before life itself, honor before everything. That's part of the Supremacy Honor Code. And the honor teachings, sometimes, not all the time, will manifest even in my dreams. So I remember one dream, I stood up to a very dangerous situation in the dream and defended somebody, and it turned out really well. So by the repetition, these ideas, these realities of honor can enter into the dream life. I'm not going to tell you it enters into all of them, but by far not. But I've been amazed when it has. It certainly has entered into how I deal with what's going on in life. I put because it involves putting honor before time and convenience, honor before pride, honor before anger, honor before sex, honor before money, honor before fear, honor before everything, honor before life itself. And those are pretty well internalized for me. That's part of my more expanded that I use for myself, and some of my people also use the Supremacy of Honor Code. So I would say that the honor teachings, to some extent, will reach your unconscious, will reach your dream life. Okay, so here I want to tell you first another thing about dreams. Dreams are really show our spiritual nature. Look what happens. With our eyes closed, we see people and places. Matter of fact, we see people and places we never saw before. People and places that we never saw with our eyes closed. Because this is happening in another dimension. It's real. Not in a material sense, but a dream. People say, oh, it's just a dream. Well, no. It's real in a spiritual way. And sometimes you even see things in a dream. And sometimes the thing actually happens maybe a year later or a couple of days later. You see it actually materialize in the material world. So it's an amazing phenomenon. So, but some of the dreams are just reflections of the unconscious fears that we have. Some dreams could be related to what we ate, just bad dream. We're having some stomach ache, whatever can affect it. I've known people who will dream that they're urinating on themselves and they'd wake up having to run to the bathroom. I've known a number of people that have had that. So there's this interplay between biological functions and what what appears in the dream. But that's a very good question, Claudia. Very good. And we can instruct ourselves how to be in a dream. And it can have some effect. But having unpleasant dreams, disturbing dreams, is not uncommon. As a matter of fact, I know somebody, I know him very well, beautiful guy, wonderful human being, very positive all the time. And he says, for the last 15, 20 years, he doesn't remember his dreams. I said to him, you know what? You lead such a positive life that your dream life is completely incompatible with what you talk about and think about, so that it's a threat to even go to that. So he doesn't remember the dreams, just blocks. He's defended against his own dreams because it's very at odds with how he conducts his waking life. It's too big a discrepancy. And so he doesn't remember dreams at all. So, yeah, is there anything else you want to ask or say about this, Claudia?
No, thank you, Dr. Nerenberg. I just appreciate you sharing that. But surely listening to your videos and truly speaking the commandments of honor and believing them and has brought me even closer to the Lord. So I appreciate everyone and the work that you do is truly, for me personally, I'm seeing the light.
You know, Claudia, that's very meaningful to me. And I always say to people, you know, I'm not really that good a guy, but I align myself with the word from scripturally consistent with all religions from each of the divine educators. And so the goodness that comes through me is following the promptings of the Spirit. And I'm not the originator of it. It's just sort of, I can just feel it and sense it and go with that. And so I'm really glad that I became enough of a mirror of those ideas. And it really inspired everything I teach about the honor teachings. And certainly there's a place for people who believe and don't believe. Instead of using God, your wish is my only wish. For those who don't believe or don't want to address God, they can use I seek always to serve my highest values. So, and then all the other commands and all the other laws are the same, but we just switch to a non-theistic approach in that situation. So there's room for everybody of all religions and for atheists and agnostics too within the teachings of honor. We respect all people. Thank you for that, Claudia, and I'm glad it's had that. You know, in one study I did, we found that I don't know, it was about 60, 70% of the people felt closer to God through the program. So I know that's one of the effects that it has, very spiritual effect. Thank you for sharing that, Claudia.
You're welcome. Thank you, Doctor.
Who else has something you'd like to ask or say?
Hey, Dr. Nerenberg, this is John.
John, I always like hearing from you, John, and I always like getting your texts. It's so deep and meaningful.
Thank you, sir. I'm very grateful for being able to have you to be able to pass this knowledge down. And for me, the honor code and the commandments and the bridge, everything connected has changed me in a way where if I find myself in a situation, I now have a tool that I can use and say, you know, what is the most honorable thing to think, say, and do at this moment? And it has actually helped more and more every time I use it. So I feel grateful for that. So I thank you so much, sir. John,
I'm so glad to hear that. You know, Hugh says that's the best thing in the whole system to him. Certainly, it's certainly a standard. So now within the framework of the teachings of honor, honor becomes the gold standard. Honor becomes the gold standard for everything we're doing. So within this approach, and it's a paradigm shift what I'm about to say to you, we're no longer looking for happiness. We're not looking for happiness. We're looking for honor, to manifest honor, which is the foundation of true happiness and peace. You can have fun without honor, but you can't have true happiness. You can have a relaxation without honor, but you can't have true peace, because if you're being dishonorable, there will be negative consequences eventually. There will be regret eventually. So honor is the foundation of true peace and true happiness. It's a paradigm shift. So you're saying, what's the most honorable thing to think, say, and do? We're not saying, what's the thing that'll make me happiest? What's the thing that'll make me have the most fun? What's the thing I would enjoy the most? We're not asking that. What's the most honorable thing to think, say, and do? If you ask most people, what's the purpose of your life? To say, to be happy, to enjoy myself. We don't say that. The purpose of my life is to live with honor. For many people, it's family and honor, family, God and honor, family, health and honor. But always honor is part of that. And then, of course, as I say, that honor is the foundation of true happiness and peace. So it's a really different path that we're on, very different path. And the only people, if you say to them, what's your purpose in life, that will tell you honor, they have to have been through this program. There's nobody else that says that. This is a whole paradigm shift from the idea of happiness being the purpose of life. Goes back to ancient Greece. It's been around for thousands of years. We've stepped out of that whole realm. Thank you for that input, John.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Well, it's been my pleasure and my privilege to present to you the destruction and resurrection of your life. I could say destruction and resurrection of our lives. It certainly applies to me as well. Thank you.